So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We continue with this introduction. Uh, there is, if you don't do anything, you don't treat the soil, or you don't understand the nature of the soil, and if you are constructing in a highway uh, structure, you may find that most of the time, especially during the rainy season, the highway is blocked because of the landsliding. And this is a very common problem, and this sometimes cannot be addressed because when you are constructing a road, it's between hundreds of kilometers sometimes, and again the geometry, the roadside geometry, you can change a little, but you cannot change a highway geometry altogether. So if you change that alignment, you may end up constructing a road between Karachi to Hyderabad to Karachi to Thatta. You cannot move their alignment much. And if you encounter, say, mountains, and again the mountains that may not be uh, igneous rock, and there are mountains that may not have a good uh, resisting effect against the weather. It will come down all the way. One of the way is, I've told you before, it's a nailing, in a nailing technique in which you insert the rods and you grout them, and this is one way of it. But again, if you have, say, you have mountainous regions out of, for 40 kilometers, this will be a very costly affair. So this, there are different techniques as well as, but again, this, the problem of landsliding, that has to be controlled. Otherwise, you have losses. You have to, the highways are blocked for many times a day, for many times in a year, and people, get affected. Remember, and we all know that engineer works for the facilitation of the people. So whatever knowledge he applies, it should facilitate the masses. This is one thing. Now, this is how you drive a pile to, in the near the shore. It may be there's a place what we call the ship repairing, in which this could be done. It may be because of, um, to construct a jetty or wall. So this sheet piles are uses, and again it also depends upon the type of the soil. Then there is a propping and supporting. Uh, for example, uh, if you are constructing, uh, say this is an existing building, and here I want to have a high-rise building, maybe say 15 story. The problem is the foundation of this house may not be as deep as my existing foundation, so I have to go below that ground level a lot for constructing a basement or constructing a foundation even. What happens that if you do not protect these walls, this, there is a danger, and this many times happened in, recently in Karachi city, that we had an extraordinary rain. For that, the water were already in the foundations of the houses, and once the rain stops and someone tried to construct the building without taking this measure, whole of the building collapsed. So this is where, when you go deep, and this is a common problem, and this is the problem related to urban engineering as well, because everyone wants to, wants to build shopping plaza on his land, and then we don't, and we start contracting people. I discussed it last class as well. You may not be very qualified and may not be knowing these techniques, and ultimately there are huge losses to the people, to the government as well, and the person who is doing also ends up in sometimes in a jail. And this is only thing that he had to do. Once he exposed those foundations, he has to prop it and support it. This nailing technique is also applied for tunneling. because when you excavate for tunneling, actually nowadays you do the horizontal drilling in a sense, right? So it's a drilling, and obviously it's a large dia drilling. So, and again, you may not, you have to protect that soil to, falling onto your way once you have excavated. So again, you do it prompting, you just have to do this technique step by step. You cannot move forward without, nailing this technique. That is a very good video on YouTube. I must have shared it here. That gives you how you protect the walls falling onto into the tunnels. And then there is a blasting, and this blasting is also for ore recovery in mines. And then you have to be very careful in blasting, because if if you have a mountains, and we have to, you construct the road within the city, and you come across mountains like in Karachi, um, the mountains of the North Nazarabad or Orangi town. So, and we have that one construction, Kati Pahadi like that. So again, there is an aspect. One way is to, excavate. How much you can excavate a rock? It will take, days. So what you do, you do this blasting, and again, it's a very precise technique, what we call short drilling and something. But again, all those things have, with this modernization, all those smart technologies are being applied to do away with it. So again, you have to know this. You have a perfect knowledge of the soil in place. Otherwise, there are things that not easily be remembered. People will try to forget those things, but still, it's a very difficult task. Now, if you want to construct a road, you have to do some ground improvement. If you want to construct a road and the soil is, say, clay soil, or we have to construct a road near the shoreline, near the coastal line, it's very obvious that you're not going to find a rocky soil near the coastal line. You most of the time you find silt and clays. Being a pavement engineer, if someone asks me to uh, construct the road on this strata, the first thing I will do is to resign from this job. Why? Because every time there is a problem, and if I have not applied my engineering technique yet, I will be, caught somewhere, and I will be, spend my life in the fear. If I do not apply the proper technique, if I do not apply the techniques. So what are those techniques for the improvement of the soil? One is, normally, if you construct a road, it's the depth of the pavement is 1 meter. It's not 1 meter, but somewhere near it. For that soil, one of the easiest technique, but it's a laborious technique as well. For your right of way, excavate all the soil, throw it somewhere else. This is the most workable solution. But the problem is, this chunk of the soil, where would you throw it if you have not got a place? So this becomes a problem. And not only throwing is solve the problem, you have to borrow the material from somewhere else, and then you have to um, fill it in segments. You cannot fill, if you have to if to fill that trench around 1 meter by, say, 10 meter, you have to fill it in the layers, right? Maybe 15 centimeter layer, not more than that. And then you have to come gradually to that point where you have road level and start filling this. This is again, where will you find that material? This is also important. Where you will take that material from? Is it nearer to the vicinity? That's okay. But if you have have to brought that material, say, maybe 5 kilometers, maybe 10 kilometers, then you will have a problem. So this is one way. What is the other way? The other way is there are what we call a geosynthetic materials that can be laid, and that can also be a good way of handling those soils again. But this has to be, very smart application, because if I ask you to uh, spread a carpet on this floor, the main problem is how you spread it, because if you don't spread it well, there will be wrinkles and that will create problem. For the road will not be level. It may look level at the top, but it may not be level at the bottom. So it may allow some materials, some penetration of water like that. So it's a very, again, it has to be done very smartly. And again, this all these highway projects, mind you, it's there is a cost and a heavy cost incurred in it. So if anything happened to the sub-base, and you have constructed all the layers, and there after opening to the traffic, you find that is a problem, and you find that problem is below the bottom, you cannot do anything. You have to get all those materials out of it, you know break it, throw it somewhere else, improve the problem, improve the surface, and then you go build it again. So the cost may be not 2 times, maybe 2 to 3 times as well, because it's not about removing and throwing it somewhere else. That's another problem. So there are various ways people has come up. One of the first thing, if you have a problem and you see, you try to compact it, and compact it by various means. This is one of the way, by using impact roller, and that's impact like a hammer. The other thing is, if you have a clay soil or silty soil, you can use this sheep foot roller. Let me explain to you. Let me repeat that one. If you have to construct a road, what you do first thing is to remove that 6 inches of the soil, top 6 inches of the soil, because it's a topsoil. It may contain weeds and other material. It may be transported, maybe a loose soil. So first thing you do 6 inches removal, and if you find, because you have already had that soil report about information about your strata, you can first do is, if it's all good, then you do rolling, and this what we call a rolling smooth wheel roller is applied to compact the ground. You cannot start laying without compacting the ground, the basement, or what is the foundation of the pavement. Now, if your soil is good, if the strata is good, then you can do, it's very simple. You don't have to apply a packed roller, you just have to apply this uh, smooth wheel roller. But sometimes if your soil is clay, and again, if it is not up to some depth, what you can do is to do this rolling. This rolling is called a sheep foot roller, because it's called sheep foot roller because there are projections, you can see on the drum that is coming out. Again, this rolling depends upon how much weight is required, and being a soil mechanics or geotechnical engineer, you always find out how much effort is required to compact this ground. So you can always fill this, you can add some soil or something in it, so that make it to according to the weight that is required. And then there is a projection. You will do this rolling first, and it has got the kneading effect. It compress, and there it will compress some places, and the other places will pop out. So on the second go, you will again compress the pop out places. What will happen, that the other places that was settled now becomes pop out. So it's an maybe 6 or 7 passes normally. You can do away with this leveling again, but at the end of a day, you will not have a smooth pattern. You will have some depressions. Now after that, you have to fill it with some required material, good bearing capacity material, and then once you fill it, then you apply the smooth roller. So again, rollers are smooth roller is, and you have to apply anyhow. But Before that, you may need a passes of sheepwood roller if your soil is not good. This is a smooth wheel roller. This is a smooth wheel roller that I'm talking about, and this is the final roller you can say uh, in any pavement construction. But nowadays, there are things that because of the land shortage, especially in the Gulf areas, especially in the island like Japan or Korea or maybe some places where what you are doing because of the population, they are now going towards the sea and they are reclaiming this sea land. So what they do is first fill that material, reclaim that material, and then this filling cannot be compacted without it cannot be compacted by roller in the first sense. So first of all, when you fill this material, there is what we call ground improvement, and there is a weight you drop that, and this is nowadays happening all around, especially in the Gulf countries. This what happens is that this the wall, that's also called the impact, but that impact is this there is a chunk of slab, chunk of a large stone that is being dropped from 25-meter height. And the problem, and that that is to be done very carefully, because if you are around 2 kilometers and the car may go out, go where anywhere, and you start those who are not involved, if they are passing nearby, there will be problems. So that area is to be counted on out very, and depending upon the load. And again, all these are not just they have to be very calculated in the sense that if that 25-meter of the rock or some slab, something that is being fallen on that thing, how much area would be affected. Even those who are working, they cannot put their camps, working camps, uh, their workplace platform. They cannot go there. They have to be outside those limits of the there you are reclaiming your land. And that what happens is that you drop the slab on the right side, you see those chunks, those depressions are created. Now, once this is done, again you fill it materials. With to fill those materials, you can do. Uh, you cannot actually run all the smooth wheel roller. You have to have, and there are small rollers or the vibratory roller. You can fill that, and then you have to come up. Once it is done, you check the compaction effort. What is the effort? If you are able to achieve say 98% of the compaction level, 98% of the density, there is a density called Proctor density. If you are able to attain that, then it's very good, and then you start. Now again, what you do? You will do smooth wheel roller. You apply smooth wheel roller, and then to that make your ground level, and then do whatever you do, construct a building and something like this. So this is one of the again, this is a very costly affair, and but reclaiming land is not easy. Now let's talk about because this is an introductory lecture. Let's talk about the instruments that are normally used. Obviously, you will be have a hand-on experience on how to use those instruments, and so just a brief what instruments you will need to uh, assess the properties of the soil. There is a test, what we call a cone penetration test, in which the if you can see, if you are able to see this animation on the left side, you will find that on the truck there is something, it's standing, and from it you start you have to lift the truck by help of the jacks, and from that truck you start penetrating the ground. You don't have to have an extra arrangement for that. From that truck, it's a mobile truck, you do it, you go along. Then there is a test what we call wave shear test, and this is for knowing the shearing strength of a soil. And most of the time, and it's it's a very common test that we call an SPT test. to collect the soil samples, one, to know the depth of the rock it where it is situated, to know the water table, and to know the soil strata, what are the soil types at different horizons of the land you are interested in. It's a common SPT test, and you have to perform SPT test even for construction of, say, a single story house. And it's, most uh, and the problem is what it should be the frequency. Normally, if you have a small land like, say, 240 square yard, you have to do it on two tests will be enough on the diagonals. Some people say do it in the center. The problem is, yes, most of the time in an ordinary case, you may not found difference in two diagonals where you have put your SPT test. But you never know, and you cannot risk, because if you risk it, if the soil strata is different, what would happen that the found road, your house, maybe God forbid your construction, if there is a rain, actually the problem with anything occurs when there is a rain, the source of moisture, and if the moisture penetrates the soil and the soil is not good in draining it, then you will have a differential settlement. Your house, God forbid, the foundation will settle from one end, it will upheaval at this end. So again, then that goes forth. So it's easy. It's, sometimes people spend millions in constructing a house, but they don't spend, thousands in doing these tests. In even in these days, these tests worth, say, 50,000 or 60,000 rupees, and comparing to the cost of the house is sometimes it's single story 120 square yard. If you have a, normal finishing, you end up with 35 30 lakhs at least. I'm talking about RCC house. So compare 50,000 with 30 lakhs, it's not very good percent. But people avoid this thing. What they do, um, on the neighbor, they have constructing a road, they have used 2 ton square feet. I will use 2.5 ton square feet. That's it. Okay. Maybe I use 1.5 ton square. But constructing a foundation for 1.5 TSF and constructing a foundation if you are doing this on assumption, you will be having a extra cost incur on the reinforcement of the foundation. And believe me, that will be above your 50,000 rupees that you were not trying to explain. Because if you would have done those SPT tests, you know the exact bearing volume. And sometimes you were an assumption that 1.5 TSF, but it comes out to be 1 TSF in reality. Then you are in, complete dark. You are in, God forbid, you are in disaster. So that's why estimating the exact strength of the soil is very important in construction, whether you are constructing a small house or you go for, say, a Jemima Tower, or anything you can think of, high-rise buildings, Petronas Tower. So this is the, Burj Khalifa. You have to do this soil testing at least, depending on the area. You may have 4, maybe you have 5 SPTs, but you have to spend this. It's very important. Then this resilient modulus, or the resistance of the soil towards load or shearing strength. There is a test called triaxial test, in which the soil is loaded from 3 sides. Actually, it's loaded from 2 sides, loaded from the top, and from the side it is being applied this confining pressure through waters of fluid, and you know how this soil reacts under different conditions, under moisture, and this is a triaxial test. Inshallah, you are going to perform it in the lab as well. So to summarize this, there are very variety of the field testing device that are used to collect the sample and to know the strength of the soil at its place. I have uh, explained a lot of word in SPT test, CPT test, then other test, dialectometer test, pre-board, pressure meter test, and wind shear test. So one, two on the left and the last on the right, VST is the most common test. The other two in between are being explored and it's not very common. Now again, even knowing the exact value, you apply some safety factors. And that's also important. And this is also, and this is like that because that if you don't apply safety factor, you have this probability of failure. Again, if you look at 1 upon 500, it's 0.02. But again, this is the probability you cannot ignore. Especially you are building your own house. You know, a person, a common person, spend lot of the time in here where he get those money and then he start, and God forbid if he just ignore that amount or ignore that testing, this may have a disaster on it. So who are those people that come up with the solution to soil mechanics? Terzaghi, Coulomb, and these topics you will see when if you go through that soil book, you will find that all those names are there. Is Coulomb's law, there is a Terzaghi equation, and there is differential equations. Rankine, right, and then Casagrande, uh, Vigeram, Skempton, and of late there is the Sovers or Leonards. So these are the people who are there. So what are the challenges? Geotechnical landmarks, just go through it. This is a Pisa Tower. Sometimes our planters become monuments. And there is a Goa Dam, world tallest concrete dam. Petronas Tower, Malaysia, tallest. It's not tallest building in the world now. Which Khalifa is taken over. And another thing, there are other building is coming up. Then the Colosseum in Italy, Pantheon, Greece, pyramids of Egypt, and that Sydney Harbour. So that's it. My introduction to this uh, lecture. And next time we are hoping that